He wants to win everywhere he's playing. Even if he comes to play far side with us, yeah, we'd want to win. Like, so he has that in his nature. Like,
Hello, good evening. This is Taiwan Ojobi, your host on Lanonasis Maple Sports. We like to bring a lot of unfiltered opinions, cheap analysis, and big love for Canadian hoops and ice. We use this opportunity to break down the NBA, spotlighting the CBL, and carve out small space for smart hockey talk. But today we'll be focusing a little bit more on the Premier League, which is going to be wrapping up this weekend. And we want to just try to do some diving, into some of the actions that happened, some of the drama. And congratulations once again to Arsenal for winning the league. This is the week that has been spoken about like almost everywhere in the world. And, we just feel excited for them. So today is run by Taiwo, your commentator, analyst, and unapologetic fan of the game. And today I have a couple of friends with me, Emmanuel, Joshua, and Crespo. Emmanuel, Joshua, just say hello, Crespo, and, we can just get right into it.
Yeah, thank you, Taiwo. Happy to be here again to discuss our favorite sport. Looking forward to it. It's been an excellent week for Arsenal fans. It's a thing of joy that finally, after 22 years, we get to lift that trophy. Congrats to my fellow Arsenal fans all over the world. It's not easy. Congrats to the team. Congrats to Arteta. It's been a hell of a journey, and I'm happy to see that Arteta has made it happen in his time. So we thank God for that. So yeah, looking forward to a discussion today.
Yeah, thanks, man. Joshua?
yeah, I mean, happy to be back here. And like Mane said again, it's all about Arsenal. And congratulations to Arteta, the team, the club as a whole, the owners. And I think this is a success for everyone, really, from top to bottom. And yeah, I mean, so happy for them. And yeah, let's have a good show.
Yeah. Crespo?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Like Kima said, great week for the Arsenal folks. A lot of joyful moments, looking at how they struggled for the past 22 years to clinch the EPL title. So it's I believe it marks the beginning of good things for Arsenal. Let's talk about the beautiful game and let's see if Arsenal can repeat this feat next season.
Yeah, hopefully they can. But one thing I know generally is this week it was talked about almost everywhere, and it just shows how much Arsenal has been able to cut across every country in the world. The number of people that were hoping on them, as in even teams that don't support Arsenal are celebrating them so much more, and I feel it's the most emotional league celebration I've seen ever in a very long time, because they felt that this is a bottle FC team, and for the first time they did bottle anything. So it's a big shout out to them. The players are ecstatic. I hope they can take that energy into their Champions League encounter and also make the season a truly unforgettable one for themselves. So that being said, I feel we'll probably just start from the most recent one. Apart from the fact that there's a lot of noise happening in London, Aston Villa is one of the teams that also made England proud, and they went into an Europa League final, defeating Freiburg convincingly. I saw a lot of vertical superiority in that match. Crespo, I just wanted to jump on Aston Villa, Freiburg. Do you think generally, because it leads me back to that difficult question, do you think generally that Aston Villa had a better season than Man City? At least amongst some of the things you're going to talk about going forward.
I wouldn't want to say that. I'm not sure City would want to compete at the Europa League. So for that reason alone, it's neither here nor there. However, I think kudos to Aston Villa. Season we mentioned how financing such a team could impact their season, and we really didn't give them a chance to even make the Champions League from the league. They did that, and they crowned it off with a very good win in the final, winning 3-0 against Freiburg. How else to end the season where you sold some of your players and all you had to do was getting loan players to fill in those places. The likes of Malen was sold out to Roma, and they got Tammy Abraham. The team was kind of up and down throughout the season. There was a time they did really good. We felt, oh, are they contending to win the league? Then they dropped points for a long period of time and they came back again. So I would say a very good season for Aston Villa, considering how much they spent and the success they recorded. But to compare that with City, I wouldn't say that, because I'm sure City won't want to compete in the Europa League anyway. So for that reason, I think it's just, I think like I said, two truths can exist.
Yeah.
Man City had a fairly good season after they didn't start well. At least they
Okay.
ended up with a double. And Aston Villa also, with the PSR issues they had, trying to manage costs, selling off some of their key players, and having to manage with loan players and all of that, and still ending the season with the Champions League slot and also winning the Europa League. How else can a team with not so much money, I'm sure teams like Newcastle would envy that. Teams like probably maybe only Newcastle would envy, or maybe Tottenham, or even a Man U, it would be nice if Man U had qualified for the Europa League, won the Europa League, and also got a Champions League slot. So again, I think a good season for Aston Villa. But again, let's see how they can survive next season playing in the Champions League with all of these PSR issues.
So Joshua, looking at the performance of Arsenal and the rising of players like Buendia, Rogers, Watkins, all those guys, what do you think is the limit for them next season? Looking at the fact that they didn't even need a win in the Europa League to cement a space in the Champions League. But going forward, what do you think? Do you think the sky is the limit, or just the roof is just the beginning? What do you think?
I mean, I think that's a good question, and it's something also we like Resto said, we'll be discussing with in terms of Aston Villa, in terms of the ceiling they have is just because of how football is currently, in terms of the current financial constraint that they would face. It's not a limit to the coaching performance or to the squad or to the talent of the team. It's just how I would say just the nature of the beast for how football is run. So that's really their limit in terms of how can they now go on from here? How can they improve the squad? And we also know the challenges with that in terms of the financial constraints that is currently in football and mostly Premier League. So that's the ceiling they have, not due to the ceiling they have is not due to their deficiency or their lack of talent or their lack of coaching experience. I mean, I think Unai Emery has done a fantastic job in Aston Villa. I think with Pep leaving now, he's probably one of the best managers in the Premier League. Even compare his body of work over the years compared to Arteta, you probably still pick him. And again, how the job he's done at Aston Villa when they were fighting relegation to where they are right now. He's qualified for Champions League twice now. He's now won a European trophy for them, their first European trophy in like 44 years.
Yeah.
So with that constraint, with that amount of body, like Crespo said, the amount of players he had to get on loan, right? Just so, imagine he got Rashford the last season, just so he can compete and able to put in after performance, and not just that, but what he's done this season in terms of qualifying for Champions League through the league route, while also being competitive in the Europa League and going all the way to the final and winning it. Like, it's no mere feat for a team that doesn't have a large squad, right? Usually teams who do that in the big teams are teams who have a large squad, but he doesn't have a large squad, and they've still been able to be competitive on both fronts without it affecting the other. So and it's a shame that he's not even in the running for manager of the season, because I think he's done a remarkable job this season with Aston Villa. And unfortunately, it's just how far can they go? I think let's see how well they can do in the Champions League. I know success is going to be different for different teams, but what does success mean for Aston Villa next season? I would say getting out of the league phase in the Champions League would be a good success, either round of 16 or quarterfinals, and then trying to finish in the top 4 again next season. And if they can nick a cup here and there, either Carabao Cup or FA Cup, I think it would be a good season, because I don't think anyone expects Aston Villa to win the leagues. I would say the best they can ever get would maybe challenge for the league title, but again, I don't think they would be able to win the league title just because of the artificial ceiling that football has given to clubs such as Aston Villa.
Okay, that's a very good one. So, Emmanuel, I just wanted you to just kind of dive in, do like a microscope into the performance of that match, because I looked at Freiburg and I was discussing it earlier with Joshua. This is a team that in the semi-final, they were looking, because their semi-final performance, it was about 6-1 on aggregate. And I was looking at that team and it looked so ordinary against Aston Villa. What does this really tell about English football generally? Do you think even an Aston Villa that finished 4th is even much better than maybe like the top 16, in the entire Spanish league? I don't want to disrespect Real Madrid and Barcelona, but what does realistic say about English league generally?
I mean, there's been talk about the fact that the English league is about the best league in the world, with all the the investment that goes into the English league, right? In terms when it comes to TV right and things like that, lots of money in the Premier League. But automatically, you want that's ultimately transmitting to the quality of players you have in the Premier League, quality of coaches, right, that you have in the Premier League. Even if you look at compare the players man for man and even the coach, Naemi has been to the 6 Europa League finals and he's won 5 of them. In addition to if I had the one that he just won recently, so he has the experience, right? He has players who played in Europe before. Matthew Cash, all those guys, they played in Europe 2 seasons ago. They were in Champions League and they went out in the quarterfinals, right, to PSG, right? And last in the missed out Champions League just narrowly. Just that last game against Man U where they lost and then it didn't happen for them. So Aston Villa on their own, they're an experienced side. They have an experienced manager, right? And Emery's he's been successful in France, successful in Spain as well. He won the Europa League with Sevilla several times. The only one he missed out, he didn't win, was with Arsenal, right? That was in 2019.
I think Chelsea beat them in the final.
So that's the only one he didn't win, and he's won all the finals he's been to. He's won them. So he has experience. He knows how to win a final. He knows how to win those cup competitions, right? So it's that's on one side. Right? So he has experience. Secondly, if you now come down to the funding part of the Premier League, lots of money. In fact, I even saw one stat that even Burnley is getting more money than Barcelona, who won the La Liga. So Burnley that's going down relegation is getting more money than Barcelona. And
Barcelona is getting, I think, 58 million.
Exactly.
For Arsenal winning, Arsenal is getting 178.
Burnley getting about £100 million, 100 million euros, sorry.
Yeah, over 100 million euros. And we're not even talking about what they will win if they win the Champions League.
Exactly.
Because they can still make more money on that winning of Champions League.
Exactly. So I'm even comparing, looking at that
leagues
compared to a team going to relegation.
So it
shows you again, it's just the way the world is structured currently, power of the English language, right? I think that's the way I say it. So the fact that England commands this small respect is because almost all over the world, everybody speaks English language. Half of the people in the world speak English, right? So people understand the language very well. So that's why they have that command. A lot of people want to watch the Premier League. A lot of people want to see because they understand what is being said, right? So it gives the Premier League that power and that interest that, that leads to more money. And with more money comes better quality automatically, right? You can see someone like Pep Guardiola, for example, when he came to, the longest he stayed as a coach is in Man City. I don't think he spent up to 10 years. I can't remember.
No. After that was
his longest.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the attraction to the Premier League. Everybody wants to play in the Premier League. Any player you talk to, you want to play in the Premier League. So he has a lot of, because of the money that's available there, he has a lot of quality. And most people see people analyze sports. Premier League is always the focus, right? Because it's quite interesting. You have the best players in there because they're attracted by the popularity, the funding that goes with it, and it affects the other leagues as well. And you can see automatically, you can look at the 3 finals in Europe. You have English clubs in all the finals. Aston Villa in the Europa League, Crystal Palace in the conference. It happened before 2 years ago when the same year Arsenal was in the finals. We had Spurs and Liverpool, I think, in the Champions League final. Arsenal, Chelsea were in the Europa League final in 2019.
Yeah,
I don't think it happened before with any other country where you have all those competitions. You have clubs from one country in all those competitions, in all the finals. I don't think
we had the final of 2 English teams, Tottenham, Liverpool.
Exactly. Yeah, it was that 2019. We had that final. I think we had a final of Chelsea and Man City before too, right?
Chelsea, Man U,
exactly. So
Chelsea, Man U, yeah.
So it shows you the dominance and the power of the Premier League, and that translates to how well the players perform because ultimately they have better players. So there's still some exceptions to this rule. You see the likes of PSG beating English clubs like what they did last year. They beat Liverpool, they beat Aston Villa, they beat Arsenal. They see one of those clubs that despite everything, they say are better players. PSG has 2 solid teams. I think their team B plays Premier League, their own league, while their team A Champions League. So it shows you, despite that, you still have 1 or 2 teams where they have the money to buy players, and PSG has a lot of investment from the Arabian world. So they have lots of money to spend. Same as Bayern Munich, they have money as well. So you can now see where this is going to, for example, right? So it's just what it is. The Premier League has lots of power, lots of money available, and with that comes better quality players and better quality coaches, right? And again, I come to Unami's experience as Europa League final veteran, as far as I'm concerned, that's what he is. Yeah. And congrats to Aston Villa. I mean, it's not easy get to a final of that competition, right? No matter how much you think is easy, but it's not easy at all. And winning it the way they did, convincingly. If you look at that game, even though it seems Freiburg has more possession, but look at the start of that game, it was clearly Villa all through, right? So it was a great game for Villa, and congratulations to them. They deserve to win it.
Yeah, thanks so much for jumping on that. Crespo, I just wanted to bring in something here that was not really on the manuscript. And the thing is, do you think, and just off your head, do you agree that Manchester United is now going to be the next banter team, because looking at how long it has taken for them to win a major trophy, now it's going into double digits in years. I think the last time they won it was 13 years ago or thereabout.
Yeah, but so again, I agree with you. A bit of banter can come from Man U, but you can't rule the fact that United has got about 20 league titles in the bag. They've got about 3 Champions Leagues in the bag. So again, yes, longest team not to have won the league amongst the big boys. However, they've got some bragging rights that even when you want to banter, you can still bash the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. Hey, how many you got in the bag? We've got 20. You go get 20 first, then we can have another
Then we
conversation.
can have a conversation.
But however, it's again for Man U, it's not all gloom, because in the last 3 years, Man U has won FA Cup, they've won the Carling Cup. So again, the major issue why I think for Arsenal, why it became so bad in that period was they were not winning even other titles. Had they been, they were winning other titles. It's that the banter will still be there, but it wouldn't be that much. But they were not winning. The only thing they were winning was, I think they won a few FA Cups in that period, but they were really good at the Community Shield. They always, so again, like I said, kudos to Arsenal. It's now Man U's turn, and I hope we don't wait 7 years more to win the EPL. I hope with what we have, like I today, Carrick's confirmed as the head coach for next season. Let's see this again. Like I've always said, the signings matter.
Yeah.
All we're talking about Arsenal winning the league now has a lot to do with the signings they brought in.
Yeah.
Every other season, I think the last 3 seasons, they've been second position. After every second position, they fix what would have been a deficiency that didn't make them win the league when they came second. We all clamored for, guys, just go get a striker. We don't care. Just go get that number 9. And whether you like it or not, Gyökeres has played his part in this team. The 1 goals, the 1-0 that he will come in and just have those tap-ins. A lot of injuries to Arsenal. Jesus wasn't around for a big period. Kai Havertz was out. Just imagine Gyökeres was not in that team this season. They would have played maybe, and Moreno was injured again. So imagine having to play Saka as 9 or Martinelli as 9. So I would say Man U's season will be determined by how their transfer window goes. If they have a good transfer window like they did for Mbeumo, Desco, and Cunha, if we can get solid 3 midfielders to be added to that team, I'm quite sure that we would compete, maybe not necessarily challenge, but we'll compete for the title.
Okay, that's a good one. So Joshua, I spent some time looking at a video on some of those moments that made us now where they are today, and looking at some of their fixtures against the Newcastle where they had to come back, and especially in a difficult playing somewhere around the northwest of England, and a couple of those matches that changed the narratives, those corner kicks and everything. If you look at everything generally, looking at the journey of us now up until the Burnley match and how important Burnley match was for them. The Burnley match, they ended up with a 60.4% possession, but all they just needed to do was score 1 goal and make sure that they protect, that goal with all their life, and make sure that they've done their own part and they just wait for the final season. And this is where my question actually comes in. What were the things you think Arsenal did differently that kind of prepared them? I know they fell because we've talked about them week in, week out. But what were those things that showed that next season we are not going to say that is a fluke?
I would say that that's a tough question. What I would just say is what Arteta did differently this season is one thing, and it's clear for everyone to see. And that's why a lot of people are having issues with how Arsenal play in terms of how they won the league. It's Arteta, and it's something I give him credit for, because it takes a lot for someone to try a different way and change to achieve a goal. So when people talk about Arsenal becoming more defensive, more compact, more difficult to beat, and being very strong in set pieces, it comes from a man that has tried it a different way and didn't work, and realized that how can I beat 4 years ago when I think he finished, or 4 years ago, the first time he finished second. I think then we still had Klopp, so he was fighting against Klopp, Guardiola, and then himself, and then he finished second. And in those seasons he finished second, he played how you would think like Arteta wants to play, being a disciple of Pep, expansive football and all of that. And you notice that they fell along the way in all of those seasons against Southampton, West Ham and the likes. And I think that was when there was a change in Arteta in terms of, I don't think I can play this way currently and beat these guys, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, to the title, which is the ultimate goal for him. And I think that was where there was a switch for him in terms of, okay, if I can't do it that way, then I'll do it in a different way. I'll be very solid. And that's how you notice that there was a change also in his transfer policies in terms of profile of players he started to buy. That's when Saliba became mainstay. There was Gabriel. He bought people like Timber. He bought Declan Rice. He bought Havertz from Chelsea. Everybody wondering why you buying a Chelsea reject. But you see the profile of those type of players. They are big, strong players. He bought Calafiori. He bought this Nkape. He's bought Mosquera. Even you see
Moreno.
So you start to see.
If even brought in a Bereche Eze of this world.
So you start to see that
all those guys.
Apart from even then you leave the attackers, the white players to be good. But in terms of from the mid, then he brought Merino.
He brought in Steele. Yeah.
So he brought in Steele. So you see all of those players, they have similar type of profile. They are all tall, they are all big, they are all strong. So he then decided, okay, if I cannot win it playing beautiful football, I'll win it by being difficult to beat. And I think that's why he made that switch last season. The season before last season it did not work out. Slot came in and ran with the league, and Arsenal just had a bit of dip last season. But this season also he continued. He brought Gyökeres, he brought in Mosquera, and then he now also switched the style of play a bit, where Arsenal were more decisive, they were more controlled, they were not as expansive as they used to be before. And you can say right now the end justifies the means, right? Because Arteta has been able to now get over the line, because that was always the question. No one doubted the fact that he was a good manager. He's improved Arsenal from 8th to 5th to second. Everyone can clearly see that he's improved. But the question he was going to answer this season was, can he take them to the promised land? Can he be the bride and not the bridesmaid? And that's been a question. So it's hard to rejig the team, how they played, just to get over the line. And I think for me now, the interesting thing will be next season. I would like to see how Arteta will now play next season. Will he keep on like this? Will he go back to how we knew him when he came from Man City under Pep? Or will it be a mix of both? Because right now, all of a sudden, he's not going to be the person they are chasing, right? With Pep Guardiola leaving, with Liverpool in disarray, with Manchester United not also rebuilding, with Chelsea rebuilding, you feel as though this is the right time for Arsenal to improve the squad however they can, and then go to try to dominate, because it's almost like though Pep and Jurgen Klopp, who were his nemesis, are leaving now. So it's almost like he's the one in charge, prime coach ready, who has a solid team to then go and dominate. So, but I'm trying to see how Arsenal goes on from here next season, to see if they can dominate, win another 2-3 Premier League titles if possible. But I think that was a conscious decision by Arteta to tweak the style of play and the profile of players that he signed to be able to cope with the juggernaut of Jurgen Klopp, Pep, Liverpool team, to be able to beat them. You've noticed in all of those games, you will notice how Man City were always beating Arsenal in those one-off games.
Yeah.
Haaland would just bully the players. De Bruyne was splitting those passes. And I think that is when, and I know Jamie Carragher was saying it quite often, that he can see how Arteta tweaked and he got those strong profile of players and a bit of technical players who could still do the job, but also made them so solid. And right now, you want to face Arsenal, like, you have to be ready. Like, you have to bring in your A game. Like, you know you're going to be in for it with Gabriel and Saliba, Nkape, Calafiori, Merino, Declan Rice, Havertz. Like, anywhere you look, they are so strong. And that is why also the set piece routine has played a huge part for them this season, because they've been able to gather all of these players who are so good in the air, with Declan Rice and Saka can whip the ball in. And it's almost like he's putting all of these ingredients together. And this season, he just made a wonderful delicacy for Arsenal fans, Tony and Emmanuel, to enjoy. So really, because it just shows you how a manager can start. You see the vision, you tweak it along the line to achieve a goal, and then you finally achieve the goal. That's why I really wanted Arsenal to win the league, so that he can show to himself, his team, the owners who have backed him, who I really like, to show that it can work. Because the longer it went without winning, then Of course, longer doubts will come in by the owners. Should we tweak? But also good measure to the owners. Stan Kroenke, who allowed his son to run the football club, gave him a bit of control, and then they supported Arteta to be able to make all of these decisions, jig the team, Ozil leaving, Aubameyang leaving, this team is his team.
Yeah.
It's for him now, and he's been able to get that holy grail. So it's a beautiful story, and I'm really happy for him and the entire Arsenal team.
So look at me thinking that I asked a very difficult question, but see the answer so detailed. Also detailed. I was like,
made it easy
because the way you calm down, the way you answered, I was like, man, what's happening here now?
Professor Joshua.
There are some questions that are, when they come, but when you now start answering them, you just follow them sequentially. But that was very detailed, Shout out to Arsenal once again. I don't think we can ever get tired of celebrating them. Tony, good to see you again. Thanks for joining. And definitely just go directly into the match that made Arsenal the winners. And Emmanuel, my question is to you. I want to talk a little bit about the Manchester City team that we're looking at. Even though we know that they were able to complete what I call the local double, or we can just call it the English double, and they were able to get every other cup available in England. First of all, the coach himself, Pep Guardiola, has had a wonderful time in England. He has shown us that he's one of the best. You understand? If not even the best, arguably one of the best. But looking at that match generally, I've looked at how he was able to depend so much on Rodri and Kovacic. The weakest link generally, especially against a good Bournemouth side, who is also going to be finishing very well in European competition at the end of this season. But if you look at it generally, you will see that Manchester City as a team is going to probably be navigating a different path next season now that it has been confirmed that Pep Guardiola is going away. Do you think this team has what it takes to be able to still be a problem for us now going forward?
Well, the thing about Man City, we've seen that their current team is not as strong as what they've had before, right? At the end of the day, I think the Manchester City team is in transition. Right? They lost some very big players. Kevin De Bruyne, you can say he was old. And who was left? What's his name? There's some other players who, John Stones, our key defenders, have been injured almost all through the season. Vardilo was out almost all through the season, and this other guy was out. Buendía was out as well. So they've had some injuries, right? I mean, they brought in, what's his name?
Is it Gueye?
And Semenyo to help them get over the line. And truthfully, they could have won this league if some things have gone. If they didn't lose a game again, if they didn't draw the game against Everton, it would have been a different story today. I've been a case of saying, okay, it's going to go down to the wire and the last game day to see who the winner will be. So I think Man City, they're going through a phase. Guardiola, if we're going to be here by next, I would say, okay, right, they're going to be a problem next season because I can see what he's trying to put together. You could see players like O'Reilly coming in and doing very well. Kusanov is now playing very, very well. Even though you could say he was lucky in the last few games they've played, he could have been sent off in one or two of those games for some careless fouls he committed. So it's a thing of, that stability that you have when a manager stays back, is not going to be lost, right? So there'll be a phase where if a new manager comes in, I heard it's going to be Maresca. I don't know if that's going to happen. So if it's let's say it's Maresca, he already has at least been in Premier League for like a year. So he knows what it's like to play in Premier League. But then the issue is, massive squad that he has, how will he adapt himself to play their style? And the expectations will be very high because Guardiola has been very successful in Europe, in England. He came in 2016. He's won 6 Premier League titles in 10 years.
I think he did 4 in a row.
4 in a row. Since then, he has won Champions League, several Carabao Cup. I think he won FA Cup like more than once as well.
He has won 20 titles since when he came.
Titles in all.
So, if I'm not mistaken.
It's crazy. That's insane. That's an insane record for Romania. So whoever is coming to fill his shoes has really big shoes to fill. It's going to be tough to fill those shoes because I can imagine someone coming in and not being successful in the first 2 years because it's going to be tough no matter how you look at it, right? It's really big. So I don't see them being a problem next year, to be honest with you, because new manager comes, there's going to be some new things to learn. Some players who want to leave, some players who want to stay back, right? Those sort of things. Some players stay back, and then what happens? How do you tweak the tactics, make sure that everybody's playing and everyone? You don't know what level of communication Guardiola had with all those players to make them, commit to the goal the way they committed and being that serious. Still the way their season turned around. Before December, they were not doing so well.
Yeah.
From January, they picked up and they've won the Carabao Cup, won the FA Cup, almost won the Premier League as well, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot to turn a team around like that. And I don't know who will be able to achieve that in his absence. But I mean, I'm not trying to say that it will be all doom and gloom for them. You just never know. It'll be easy? No, it's going to be easy. It's going to be a tough one for whoever is coming because that person not really be sure. The expectations were way higher and the guy couldn't cope, right? We saw what happened with him. So I don't wish anybody coming into Chelsea bad. Coming to Man City bad, but it's going to be really big shoes to fill for whoever is coming because whoever the person you're replacing, that is one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world currently. Right? The only person who's achieved more than him probably Alex Ferguson.
Yeah,
a number of trophies. It's going to be tough for them next season, but they'll have to go through that phase of getting to understand each other. And it's so bad. This next season is going to be very difficult because of the World Cup, so there may not be time for preseason games to happen a lot, right, before the season starts. So that would be another challenge as well that teams would. A lot of teams would face. So, if you have a team where there's a new coach and trying to figure out the players, you need time to do that, right? So you find out that maybe the first few games that you need to figure out the players. That's why you have teams like Arsenal who've been with Arteta for a long time right now, then who probably have the same set of players, probably have the advantage because they've been together for a while and they know how they play. So they may not need that much of that too long a time to adapt to whatever methods that they want to that they want to apply. So I mean, it's going to be a bit tough for them because of the changes. If that goes through, and whoever is coming are really big shoes to fill based on. So I don't see them being the same. At least they might still be competing because they have good players, right?
Yeah.
But will they be rich and almost winning the title next year? I don't know if that's possible, right? But let's just never know.
Okay. Thanks so much for jumping on that. So, Mr. Tony, I just wanted you kind of help us dissect what is happening at the bottom of the table. I was expecting that Chelsea will help their London brothers, Tottenham, to kind of get out of that quagmire. But as we speak now, Chelsea played like as if they really wanted Tottenham to go. You understand? But if you look at the story of the control versus chaos, I know definitely Chelsea shouldn't be in that situation of this conversation where they kind of help to dictate whether Tottenham really survives or not. But at the bottom of the table, what do you think Tottenham needs to do? Because right now, I think this is the first time that we'll be waiting until the final day before we know which team is going down. Because West Ham was also not able to defeat Newcastle. And looking at the fact that some of these teams already have a good positioning, I don't think Chelsea will be able to qualify for Champions League anymore now. So why didn't they just allow Tottenham just win it? What's that mentality about?
Yeah, thanks, Taiwan. A very good evening to everyone. Yeah, in the game of soccer, just like in every sport too, pride plays a lot of part in any game. Pride plays a lot of part. So most of these clubs at the middle point of the table are actually just playing for pride. And I saw that play out in the case of Chelsea. We're talking about London derby here. So it's something that will definitely go into the records, not minding whether Tottenham needs it to stay in the Premier League or not. But then I think Chelsea, for them, they are playing for a bigger thing, not just about helping our neighbors, our London neighbors. It was really a tough match. I don't know, that match falls on the same day that Bournemouth and Man City were playing. Not so much attention was paid on that match. And I want to think that Tottenham played quite well. What I say, and I think it's normal, it's psychological. If Tottenham and West Ham have actually been playing all season the way they've played their last 5 to 10 matches, I think they wouldn't be in this position they have found.
Position.
Like those guys are really fighting. Like especially for West Ham, you would see the way their fans cheer them on, and those guys are really fighting so hard to win even the away matches. I saw that in a game against Arsenal. So I would say I don't see West Ham escaping being relegated this season, unfortunately. Really happy for Tottenham. I'm happy for them that they just need only a draw to stay in the league at the last match. I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see who they are both playing. I think West Ham will be playing Leeds United and Everton. Yeah, Tottenham has a tougher fixture. The only thing on their favor is that they are playing home. Yeah. And West Ham, I think they're also playing. Yeah, they're playing home.
Yeah.
So they are both playing home. Yeah. So I see Tottenham staying in the league, if you ask me, because with just a draw, they're already on goal difference advantage over West Ham. yeah, they are surely going to stay in the league. Especially understanding that, like Arsenal, even though they've won the league, I want to believe that a lot of Arsenal fans would have wanted, especially those in London now, would have wanted to see the fall of Tottenham. But at this point, yeah, sincerely, yeah, because going back to what happened 2 years ago when they were celebrating for Son losing that, goal before this guy Ortega, that goal would have even given Arsenal some hope in that title race 2 years ago. But all the same, I really wish they stay. I can't imagine a big team like Tottenham going to the second division. I can't imagine. It's going to really be a catastrophic one for them and for their fans. Yeah, but for West Ham, I think they don't have that level of fan base and it's not that big a team compared to Tottenham. So yeah, I see Tottenham really staying and I hope next season they will really be able to find their feet again. Been asking, this year Ghanaian player, Kudus, I don't know what going on with that guy.
Yeah, he's injured. No, he's injured.
Oh yeah, like
Injury
is
injury
injured.
played a major part.
Madison
has
was
really
out almost all this season.
yeah, dealt a heavy blow on them too. Kulusevski, since Madison just returned last match, like 2 matches ago. Yeah, injury has also played a very bad one again. Yeah, so that's it for me. Tottenham is surely gonna stay.
Okay, that's a good one. Thanks so much for everything. At least giving us your 2 cents on what's going to be happening at the bottom of the table, and you're also able to touch on the aspect of West Ham. Crespo, I know you're excited that Jose Mourinho has agreed to return to Madrid.
Yes, sir.
As the head coach on a 2-year deal, and he's going to be there till 2028. Looking at 13 years after his first spell at the club, what do you think we need to expect to see? Because, typically there's a lot of chaos and a lot of egos are flying up, and you need a coach that is well respected to be able to bring all that back. Do you agree with me that this is the right time for Mourinho to go back there?
I would say this is another tricky one. So where I look at this point, I'm looking at this from is Mourinho has not been that Mourinho that we got used to. I think he got comfortable with just being in the game. He wasn't in his last. I was saying the last 4-5 years, he's been okay with just being in any team. He was at Roma. In fact, I think he once said he would take up a championship team if a championship team came calling for him, So yeah, so to an extent, you want to question that. Does Mourinho still have that
Spice.
that spice, that what will I say, that fire in him that we used to know,
Drive.
Again, age, that drive, age comes with all of these things. Even Guardiola, you can see he's tired. The game takes a lot out of these guys.
And he went through a tough divorce last year as well. So it's also a crazy one for him.
Kudos to those guys. Again, one thing that brings the whole world together is football. I was listening to Piers Morgan. He was like, the fan base I was celebrating outside the Emirates, you could not tell what color of skin was shouting. There was a blend. Slim, shoes, black, brown, that's the power of football. And imagine you're in a big team as a coach. The success of that team is hinged on your performance as a coach, as well as the social effect it has all over fan base. Like we discussed some days ago, like people are invested in these clubs.
It's too much.
I can imagine how angry Real Madrid fans are, the Galacticos fans, they've never gone a season without something.
Something, yeah.
So again, the flip side is who around amongst these coaches that we have that can match the ego of the players in Real Madrid. Easily, everybody would say Mourinho's got the ability to match and put those egos in place. But is it the best footballing coach for them? Time will tell. I think by the fact that he's got it in his CV, you can give him a chance and he can perform. For that reason alone, I think it's not a terrible choice. Plus the fact that we know Real Madrid currently they're having issues with the ego of the big guys. So what ego can you bring to come on, suppress the ego in team? But however, again, football is so interesting. These young footballers of nowadays, they don't bloody care.
It's true.
They can mess even.
They have a lot of money already.
They have, they are on a different level of performance and they don't believe a coach telling me to run 4 extra miles will change my performance or getting a goal, But I hope this reunion brings back the glory to Madrid. Mourinho, he has nothing to lose. Just like I said, before joining Madrid, he went unbeaten in in Benfica, in Portugal. He went unbeaten. So those are kind of the things Mourinho brings to the table. But again, the dilemma is, how do you balance the balance of the team? So like I've always said, that we discussed all season, Madrid is not a bad team as such. It's the balance that they've lost. In that team that is making everything. I saw a few clips where we saw Vini and Mbappe. Nobody in the 9th position. Both of them just by the line, hugging the left side of the field. So those are some of the things where with the headache, where whatever coach comes in there, I'm not sure they can easily get Mbappe out of Madrid right now. I'm not sure you can get Vini out of Madrid. I'm not sure there's any team that can pay those guys except Madrid, as it is. So let's see how it goes. Mourinho is a good fit for Madrid. However, we must put into context how he left Madrid. He didn't leave Madrid on a good note. He kind of started well. He didn't end well. And we know Mourinho is always having this third year calamity. After he does well in the first, second year, third year becomes some kind of interesting season for him. So again, I would like to wrap up on this. I think it's a good choice for Madrid. However, let's see how he manages that team to get them back to where we all think they should be.
Definitely. Okay. Thanks for jumping on that. That's a very good one. Across, to the other part of the world, especially, in the Middle East, Ronaldo was able to get it done for the first time. And I just want Joshua to just jump on it. How do you think winning the professional Saudi league, how much did it mean to Ronaldo? Because he was crying when I watched it after winning. He actually cried. Why did it mean so much to him to really win something in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of Ronaldo. That competitive nature that he has, that competitive spirit he has. He wants to win everywhere he's playing. Even if he comes to play far side with us, would want to win. So he has that in his nature, regardless of where he's playing, what tournament, he just has that drive to always want to win every game or win a competition to show that he's done it. So he's been there for many years and he's not won the titles. So that's something that I think he really wanted to do. And again, very happy that he's been able to do that this season. Even this season where they were not necessarily, but I think they've had previous teams in Al Nassr that have been better than this, but they've just been able to do it. And again, I think it was good to see him lift the trophy, and it gives him that sense of, I think, accomplishment of he's done it here, he can do it everywhere. He just has that competitive nature and the spirit of wanting to win the titles everywhere he's been, and luckily for him, he's been able to do that. So that's it for him. For me, I mean, it's inconsequential, really. It doesn't add anything or take anything away from who Ronaldo is, what he's done. Great player he's been all of his career. He and Messi right now, I just see it as people who are playing football now and so just supposed to enjoy football till they retire. There's nothing they do now that adds to it or reduces it in terms of what he's done. I mean, except of course he wins the World Cup in Portugal, but except he does that. But aside from that, he's done everything in the game, and it was good. At least a bit of repaying back the favor that Al Nassr has put in him to finally give them that title. I don't know if this is the first time ever they're winning it, but I'm sure it's probably the first time in a long time.
They've been successful in previous years, but it's been a long time because Al Hilal almost
Al Hilal has been doing it, and who knows, because again there's how Al Hilal also the team got depleted. I know Benzema left, stuff like that, so maybe that affected them, because I think they'd be the one who has been winning it. So but again, kudos to Al Nassr, Ronaldo. Mane also, let's not forget, Mane is in that team, also contributed a lot, African brother, and he's also been a revelation at Al Nassr. And Joao Felix also, who they got this summer, has also contributed a lot.
Joao Felix really helped them. Do you know that between Ronaldo and Joao Felix, they've scored over 43 goals?
Exactly. I'm not surprised. So that's worked well for them, and also the coach that came also helped them.
Yeah, I heard that Ronaldo himself recruited this coach by himself.
I do remember he went on strike a few months ago.
Exactly. When he came back from strike, everything just changed and he just won the league. People are now saying, what was that conversation he really had in that closed door meeting? before
Again.
after that strike, and he agreed to come back and he started playing.
Yeah,
But
but
it's a good one for him because it's been long coming.
Yeah, good one for them. Let's see. It's trying to then see what happens now. Does he stay? Does he leave after the World Cup to pursue other things now that he's probably won the league and he spent maybe 3 or 4 years already there? It might be time for him to move on again. Who knows? Because it seems the Saudi project might not be as it was before, how it started in terms of the amount of players they were able to buy. But we're interesting to see. But
yeah, I think he also bought a small club in Spain. Is it Spain or Portugal?
I think it's yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember now.
He bought a small club. I'll have to check the name. Yeah, but he has invested. He's going to be one of the major owners of Al Nassr. I don't know the percentage yet, but he's also part of the deal he signed in this new deal. And the second part also is he has invested in a club. I think Spain or maybe a lower league in Portugal, because all those big guys that have made a lot of money are now investing in a football club, which they can now continue to still, manage at the ends of affairs at the ownership level. So those are some of the things I'm looking at. Okay, that's a good one. Thanks so much for jumping on that. So Tony, this one is basically about ethics and compliance. So if you look at what has happened to Southampton, they've been kicked out after a season where they would have been an outstanding performance coming back to the Premier League. They were kicked out because we also talked about it last week. They were spying on Middlesbrough. It went to court. They also tried to challenge it, but they were not successful. What do you think happens to Southampton? Because they are resuming next season short of -4 points already. That's the extent to which the punishment follows them. So going forward, what do you think goes forward when it comes to ethics and compliance within the league? And secondly, Southampton going into next season.
Yeah, and I think basically the action against Southampton is just something to serve as a deterrent to other clubs. Because for many of us football fans, we've kind of felt that it's quite a heavy hammer against them. I don't think too much people saw it coming, in the sense that I think it was 2 weeks ago or last week that we were wondering how they were going to prove it, that these guys actually spied on them. What impact did it have on the games? Like, there is not so much it would do, because even after spying on a team, and it doesn't add so much to or help you to gain that 3 points. Yeah. To what end? Yeah. So,
if all the games that they were spying, they lost all those games.
So they lost all those games.
Because other teams came up to say they spied
and one
on
can
them
argue
as well.
that's enough.
They didn't win any of those games.
Yeah, that's enough points to their own advantage too. That so it can actually swing either way at the end. So for me, next season, I think they will just be much more careful with these things. At the same time, it's going to really affect them mentally. The psychological disposition of the team is going to really affect them. That is the game of football. Ethics and compliance. It has to be them. There must be standards to be set in everything. Like what Man City, I don't know, some of these news, they are always true. What they've always found themselves in about transfers and all of those things, going beyond their compliance, not doing the right things. So some of these people get away with it. But unfortunately, not all of them are very lucky to get away with that. So for Southampton, yeah, it's already having an effect on them. And going into next season, I just hope that it is something they can put behind their back and, stay more positive, and hoping that this new rule or this decision would also help to shaping football very well. That's where clubs and other stakeholders will always comply to the standard and the regulations governing, the football system. So I want to see this not just happening to only Southampton, let it also trickle down to every other team. So I think everyone will be on the lookout now to see that. I'm sure Southampton will revisit this when something like that comes up next year or anytime down the line. They would always hold FA accountable. That case, you did this thing, so why are you not doing it at this time? So they will always cite this decision, I'm sure.
Okay. Thanks so much for jumping on that. So Emmanuel, I think this is probably just the last question before we call it a day. Hypothetically speaking, and that's because it's going to be in the future, Crystal Palace winning against Rayo Vallecano and winning the Conference League. Do you think Crystal Palace would have had a better season than Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, questions from man.
I'll tell you. Because I want you to also look at, first of all, the prize money Crystal Palace had, let's just say, a fairly average season, but they're in the final of a Conference League at the European level. No matter what, it's still a big final.
Yeah.
Aston Villa has been able to get it done. We talked about the dominance of the English league. Prize money, if you look at it well, Premier League paid so much money out. Even if you finish at the mid-table, you will get some good money. But adding an European competition may just give you that extra edge. Because looking at the number of matches they played till they got to the final, it also shows that they got some more money than any other team in the Premier League. But generally, from your own view, do you think they would have had a better season than a more improved Bournemouth, who will be qualifying automatically for an European spot?
Okay, I mean, the way I look at it is Crystal Palace right now, they're going to end up, 14th or 3rd?
Yeah, last time I checked, they were 12th, but let me...
Okay, so they're going to be 12th. They might end up being 6th or 7th. And
man, they've dropped to 15th. It's 15th. Crazy, man. So they've dropped to 15th.
Bournemouth might end up being 6th or 7th, and they're going to be playing the Europa League. So if Arsenal wins Champions League, that means Bournemouth might even... well, if they win the game against whoever they're playing on the last day, and Liverpool loses, they might get to Champions League position.
That's true.
Right? Because they're just 2 points behind Liverpool, if I'm not wrong. Either one of in Liverpool.
You're correct.
So they have a chance of, if Liverpool falters and then Bournemouth wins a game, they might topple Liverpool and win the Champions League. So who will have the better season? I mean, a trophy is always a trophy, right? The trophy is always a good thing to win. And if you look at Crystal Palace, where have they been in the past before now? Oliver Glasner has done something marvelous with that team, winning the FA Cup last season, winning the Community Shield, and then being in the Conference League, and now having a chance to win it. That's excellent compared to Crystal Palace's situation, right? But will the Bournemouth prefer to be in the Champions League next season or win the Conference League and be 15th? I struggle to see, how that would play. Yeah, maybe financially, Crystal Palace will get some money, of course. If they win the Conference League, they'll get some money. But who's had the better season? Who will be seen to have had more success? Who can attract better players next season? Tell is Bournemouth. If I look at the players who want to play in those competitions, if I'm to choose between Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, where I want to go to, right? For example, if Eze was still in Crystal Palace and Bournemouth come for him tomorrow, will he want to stay in Crystal Palace and still remain because they won the conference and still remain there? I'm sure he wants to go to Bournemouth to go and play European football, whether Europa League or Champions League. He has a chance to play either of them. So that's the way I want to look at it, right? Yes, a cup is a cup. Don't get me wrong. A cup is a cup. A cup is success. Like Chelsea is being hailed as the team that's won every cup in Europe. They've won Europa, they've won Champions League. I think they won the Conference League too some time ago, right? They've won Club World Cup. So they won everything. So they have that history, right? Most clubs in Europe don't. But would the Man City prefer to be in the Europa League or be in the Champions League? Would Man City prefer to be second on the table or be 5th and win the Europa League? I'm sure they want to be in the Champions League. It's those little details that you have to look at. So in my opinion, I would think the club that had a better season is probably Bournemouth. For the reasons I gave is that they can attract better players. That's one. Secondly, they probably have more money because they're ending at a higher position on the table than the Crystal Palace on that front. Yeah, Crystal Palace will get the prize money if they win the Conference League. But in terms of, how success is judged in the footballing world, league table performance, competitions you can play in, players you can attract, the kind of money you can control, what makes your fans happy. I would think Bournemouth has had a better season. But Crystal Palace should be proud of themselves for what they've achieved, to be honest with you, right? Because before now, who will give them the chance to achieve what they've achieved this season? And with all the sales that they made, they lost Eze, they lost Gehi, lost some other players too. And some players who come here have not really performed. Nketiah have not really performed well for them this season. I don't know if he's been injured or something, but it just hasn't, clicked for him. So they should be proud of what they've achieved. They've really done well for themselves this season. And I pray that they win that cup. In fact, I pray that all the English teams win all those cups. But let's see how that goes. But I mean, fair play to Crystal Palace. They've done well. But I think Bournemouth has had a better season than Crystal Palace.
Joshua, do you agree or you beg to disagree with one of them?
No, like you said, I think, and he said it all, like you gave reasons for both. And I think there's no right or wrong answer. It just depends on your perspective and what you're looking at. So I agree with Emmanuel in terms of, for me also, I think Bournemouth has had a better season. And I think in the end, in the long run, they would also make more money. They would have a better season because the money they would get if they were to make Champions League from playing Champions League would be more than Crystal Palace would get for finishing 15th and winning the Conference League, which is not a lot of money, but for Crystal Palace, it's still very good money. But Bournemouth would get more playing the Champions League. So, and the finishing high up, they've had it wonderful season, and it's just, again, I think, I mean, it's no secret of how much I love Iraola. It's just a shame that he will not be there next season to reap the rewards of this is good work for Bournemouth. But I believe when next he goes, he will also be a success. But again, like you said, it depends on the perspective, right? For us as business people, or maybe who are the neutrals, would say Bournemouth probably has a better season. But if we're to ask fans, again, that's what means much to them, defined in terms of the trophy. But in terms of neutrals or the board or the business people who manage they will look at the bottom line, which I think the money Champions League would. So again, it depends on what perspective we're looking at it from. But regardless, it's going to be a success for both teams.
Okay. Thanks so much. We've been able to hit the 1 hour mark and probably just be rounding off. But one major thing I just felt that I should just put out there is a couple of coaches are moving, apart from the fact that Fulham, I heard that Fulham will most likely be having Marco Silva leave. And Marco Silva is looking at joining Benfica. Is either they take him or they take Amorim. And Amorim is
that's
Crespo's
true.
friend.
Like this, it's true that role has opened up now. And he's
Benfica is looking
Portuguese.
at
They are both
Amorim.
Portuguese.
Exactly. And they want a Portuguese coach that is playing at a very high level. So I see Fulham letting Marco Silva go. And he will most likely join Benfica, or they go back for Amorim to join Benfica and get the opportunity to play again in Portugal. Another coach that I'm feeling is leaving, from what I'm hearing, is the Newcastle coach. He may most likely leave as well.
Yeah.
It has not been solidified on whether he will leave. But I'm seeing a lot of movement happening. Coaches are moving around, and it's almost like even the Bournemouth coach. I'm like, if this team is going to the Champions League, why are you leaving now? You understand? You don't really need to leave now. This is the opportunity for you to play at the very high level, especially with what you've achieved with Bournemouth. But some of these things are beyond us analysts that are just talking about it. Thank you very much, guys. Once again, we've been able to push a lot of unfiltered opinion, sharp analysis, and big love for the Premier League. Thank you very much for making our time. These are opportunities I don't take for granted. Don't worry, when I grow up, I'll make you guys proud. So this 10:43 Mountain Standard Time. I just want to say, enjoy the rest of the day and have a wonderful weekend ahead. God bless, guys.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Good night.